Welcome everyone to my first ever garden update video. Hi, my name is Brittani B.A. Franc, and for those of you who are new, I'm an indie author, online bookseller, specializing in surprise book dates, as well as other indie stories, and a serial hobby collector. I am definitely a serial hobby collector, and one of my main hobbies, gardening. I love to garden. I love it so much. I love being outside in the dirt. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it so much. I can't say that enough. I love it so much, in fact, that my current manuscript basically follows a woman who lives her life out in the garden. She's literally a conservationist. I fancy myself a baby conservationist, but she is like a full-fledged, went to school, learned all about it, deeply entrenched in conservation. But that's just to say how much I love being outside, being out in nature, being in the garden. Today I would be outside too if it wasn't raining. It's been storming for the past 2 days, which is fantastic. We really, really need this water. I sound like Phyllis from The Office being like, oh, the plants are gonna love this. They really are. They're really happy that we're finally getting some rain. Anyway, welcome. As I mentioned before, this is my first ever garden update video spanning everything we've been working on for the past month. So from between mid-April to now, which is nearly mid-May, I've been recording things here and there of our update progress. I plan to take us on a little garden mini tour at the end of this video, but honestly, everything is very since this is my first one, you might have to bear with me because I'm learning, just as you are, how to do this thing. It might be a little bit not as smooth transition as I would like. I don't even know how to describe it. I don't know what I'm doing. It's basically what I'm trying to say. And hopefully at least what I share comes across as entertaining, informational, inspiring. I don't know. I just thought that I love seeing updates from other people's gardens. And so I thought, why not share my own updates with my own garden? Maybe someone will get inspired by it or just enjoy looking at the plants like I do. That's personally what I love to do, is look at all the plants in other people's gardens. Before I dive in, I just wanted to let you all know where we started. So we've lived in this particular house since 2018. And I mean, immediately I got right to work diving in, rearranging things, getting my hands in the dirt. We specifically picked this house because of how much land there was around us. I knew that I didn't want to be in an HOA establishment because I wanted to do what I wanted to do with our garden, especially since, all the sun is in the front yard. Now there's sun in the backyard, but when we first moved in here, there were too many trees blocking the view in the backyard, so nothing could really grow. So within the first year or so, I ripped out the front half of our garden, half of it, just an entire half of it. And it's seen quite a few iterations over the years, but now it's finally at a place where I'm really excited and happy with it. And we are planting a bunch of flowers in the front so that it has curb appeal, but then vegetables as well that are kind of mixed in. So it's all good. Now, the backyard has actually seen the most work. It literally started as just a blank patch of grass, a lot of overgrown things out in the back wooded area, and a slab of concrete. That was it. That's all that we had. Over the past 8 years, we've added to it, taken things away. The garden has moved 3 or 4 times in the back, again, because the trees surrounding us and our neighbors' houses were really casting a lot of shade, and then they weren't anymore when the neighbors took down the trees. Yeah, it's changed, but I think that it's finally at a place where I personally love it. I really like how it looks. So I think this is more or less what it's going to remain for years and years to come. This is a very creaky chair. I don't know if you can hear that. I love this chair, but it is very noisy. She's a noisy girl. Recently, before this month started, or at least I started recording, we replaced all of the rotting cedar board beds in our front yard. They were like this really thin. We just used fence boarding to create it. We didn't coat it with anything because cedar is naturally rot resistant, but because of how thin they were, they did eventually break down over time. But honestly, I think that we installed those in like 2019, 2020. So it gave us a good 6 or 7 years before they kind of went kaput. In the backyard, we did, like I said, build brand new beds last year, and we semi-leveled the grade out just a little bit. There's about an 18-inch grade. I can't remember. This was all the measurements were done last year, but I think there was about an 18-inch grade between our house and where the garden was going to end. And so I did dig down about like 9 inches or so to kind of level it out, but not so much. I couldn't dig down 18 inches. That was so much. That requires so much wood. So, we went for half, and there's still a slope. The water still slopes away from the house like it's supposed to, and we put in these new blackened tung oil beds that I showed in my last garden update video, which was, I think, my return to YouTube, so check that out. So what are before we dive on in. So what are our plans this year in general, like for the year of 2026? Namely, I told Arlen that I really wanted to get the garden into a state where we could actually enjoy it. Not that we haven't enjoyed it or reaped the rewards of our plantings in the past, because we definitely have, but right now it's at the point where my brain loves to take on projects and it hates finishing them. So every time I walk outside or look out my window, all I am inundated with are the 20 or odd so projects that are half started and not completed. The yard to me feels like a mess, and I just want to be able to walk outside. And yes, there might still be works in progress that need to be tended to. There might still be weeds that need pulling or beds that need building, but I don't want to have to see all of the works in progress. I don't want to have to see the fence boards piling up in an unruly pile or the bricks just scattered everywhere. I want it to look a little bit more clean and cohesive and just neat. So that's really my goal, especially going into summer, because I don't spend a lot of time out in the summer because it gets so freaking hot. So hot. Oh my gosh, Georgia summers, why? So yeah, that's my main goal right now. And basically we got started on that goal pretty much straight away. We have slowly been putting things away, tidying things up. I'm looking outside my window right now, which faces the backyard, and everything looks messy, but it's the kind of mess that's like, oh, I need to trim some plants, and that's not such a big deal. That's the kind of mess that I'm okay with. I like a wild green mess. I don't like tools hanging out. Oh my God, there are just 2 little birds oh my God, there's 3 little birds. They're just chatting with each other. That is so cute. They're just hanging out on top of the trellis, just hey guys, what's up? How's your day going? It's raining, so we got all the good bugs. I'm just about to create a whole story revolving around these cute little chunky little birds. I love it. So let's just dive right in before I get distracted again by more animals. Let us dive into what it is that we have gotten done between mid-April to now. So right off the bat in mid-April, my friend Renee dropped by to lend us a hand. I started focusing on our newest and next to last garden bed in the back, laying down cotton sheeting to suppress the plant growth underneath, and slowly began shoveling from the mound of soil I'd purchased into a wheelbarrow, dragging it to the back, dumping it into the bed, and spreading it all out. A process I continued to repeat again and again and again. While I worked on that, Arlen and Renee woodworked the morning away. Renee is like a maverick. His car is stuffed full of the coolest, most useful tools, all of which he kindly let us use in order to add a base to this live edge wood piece Arlen's dad gifted to us last year. We've wanted to transform it into a table for the longest time, but really lacked the proper tools to do so. But Renee showed up with a portable table saw, and that made really quick work of cutting the new wooden legs for it. So While the guys did loads of math and tested their geometry skills, I got back to work in the side yard garden. This area has housed our strawberries for the past several years, but last year an explosion of Japanese stilt grass completely drowned them all out. That, coupled with the fact that I nearly stepped on a copper-headed snake while walking around barefoot out there, had us redesigning the area really quickly, moving from the in-ground beds that were kind of like outlined in bricks that we had found on the property to raised beds with mulched rows in between. We decided to do a deep mulch method where I've been pulling up or cutting down the majority of the plant growth in between the beds, except for the violets. I love the violets' happy little heads each year, and I want to keep as many of them as I can. And then layering sheets of cardboard followed by the thickest layer of wood mulch, all in the name of plant suppression, or more likely weed suppression, such as the Japanese stilt grass that just wants to take over everything. I then moved on to working on pulling up this monkey grass, which is another invasive species in Georgia and has grown real thick over the past couple of years, while the guys made their table until it was time to lunch. We had a quick break of tacos and margaritas at a local spot, then came back to round out the mulching in the side yard as well as the back log bed area. Not too shabby for a day's worth of work. And check out that coffee table. Like, the guys did such a great job, and now Arlen and I have a place to set our coffee each morning. Plus, Boysenberry now has a favorite spot in which to sunbathe every afternoon. A few days later, I got to work moving more soil around, starting in the front berry and asparagus patch. I deep mulched it over the winter, but it needed a bit of a top up after the mulch compressed, with the winter rains. Now the beds look happy and full, and it only took like maybe 20 to 30 minutes of time. I thought that I would just talk about, the times in which we don't really have that much time to get out and do the things that we really love to do. This, for me, includes the garden. And I'm one of those people who I feel like I always need a big chunk of time for any of the projects that I'm working on, like writing, the garden, knitting, embroidery, whatever. I always feel like I need to have at least 2 or 3 hours to really focus on these sorts of things, and that's just not really the case. That's a lie that my brain is telling me, that I can't get anything done unless I have massive amounts of time. So I thought that I would show you all what it is that I do when I only really have an hour to do garden stuff, which is very typical. Like, I usually don't have that much time, and it's not even that I don't have that much time, it's that in the mornings it's the coolest, and we're going into the summer months, and I'm going to not want to be outside in the afternoons. It gets really hot in the 90s, low to upper 90s, like pretty consistently, and it's dry. So I'm out here right now. It's about 9 o'clock, and I only have about an hour before I want to go back in and start working. It's going to jump like 10 degrees while I'm out here. So I'm just going to try and see how far it is that I can get and be okay with that. So the only problem that I do have as well is that every time I come outside, I get distracted by all of the different things that actually need to be done. And so literally just walking outside this morning, I saw our dirt pile, and I'm like, oh, I need to plant the fig trees, and I need to go and clean the greenhouse, and I need to clean up all this stuff. And so I get really distracted by all the things that I'm seeing that need doing, and then I feel overwhelmed, and then I feel, oh my gosh, an hour really isn't enough time. However, I have found that if I really focus and pick one thing, just one thing to come out and do, and then just entirely focus, ignore everything else, that I feel so much better, because at least, even if it's not a lot that I've gotten done, I've at least gotten something done, and I haven't started 50 different projects that are all going to, in a couple of days or even a week, completely be overrun again by plants or the weather or anything like that, and then set me back to zero. So instead, I'm focusing specifically on clearing this pathway, which I am in the future. So it's already been partially cleared. but I'm gonna specifically focus on clearing this pathway, raking it out, and maybe putting down a little bit of cardboard. We are almost out of cardboard, so I do need more. However, I'm gonna get as far as I can go and then pat myself on the back for getting something done. And a few days later, with the help of my best friend who lent me a hand in clearing the last of the weeds and laying down the very last bits of cardboard I could find, the side yard is pretty much complete. There are a few little things I'd still like to get done, but the majority of it is finished. The mulch is down, the beds are filled and looking good, so I'm all smiles. All right, are you ready to see where the rest of the month took me in the garden? I'm gonna stop talking for now, turn up the chill vibes, and add in my comments via text for the rest of this video. I'll see you again at the very end, where I talk about how I felt this month went and what I'm focusing on as we head into the beginnings of summer. Hello, welcome back. I hope that you all enjoyed my walk through the garden and everything that we have worked on for this past month. I thought that I would come on and I'm going to show you a current garden tour. I'm just going to take you through everything and how it looks right now as is. We're not cleaning up anything special for this garden tour, so you might see a mess, but this is very realistic, very on par with how I am looking at our garden every single day. But before I do that, I just wanted to talk a little bit about like how I think this month went and what I'm kind of hopeful for coming up next month. So yeah, let's dive into that. So as far as so loud. So as far as how I feel this past month went, I actually feel pretty good about the things that we did get accomplished. However, me being me, I did have a little bit of a freak out yesterday, and it's mainly been around just the sheer number of projects that I see out like every time I walk outside. And I know that halfway through the video, I had talked about this, about how sometimes you just only have an hour to get outside and do things, and how I should be really proud and pat myself on the back for those things that get done. But I can't seem to let go of this feeling that I need to be able to be Wonder Woman and get everything done all the time at the right time and da 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 da, like all of that stuff. So I'm struggling with that right now. Just being very honest, like I just see all of the seeds that I haven't planted, all of the greenhouse plants that haven't been planted. I see all of this stilt grass that is climbing up everywhere. And it's just so funny because in my novel, I literally have my character dealing with an invasive species of her own. And, writing it, I don't think that I wrote how stressful dealing with the invasive species is, because it is overwhelming. I am looking at all of these patches of grass that are growing and knowing that once they form seed heads, they're gonna, like Japanese stilt grass specifically, each little plant can give off like 1,000 seeds. 1,000 seeds. So how am I ever going to combat this problem all on my own? The answer is I shouldn't be doing it on my own, but that's a problem for another day too. Whatever. So I have all these things. It's kind of overwhelming. I'm looking outside. I'm just seeing everything that hasn't gotten done, and I'm not able to sit and really enjoy what we have gotten done. So that's something that I have to focus on this next month, is just kind of letting things go. We'll see how I do. As far as next month's projects go, which I guess can technically be said that we're starting today, because Arlen and I are about to head outside to finish up that final log bed garden. I am going to feel so much better when that's off my list. I just love crossing something off the list. It just feels so good. Yeah, for this next month, I'm just really looking... What am I looking for? Just crossing off more projects. Like, I think that would be great. I have planted some sunflowers and some flowers, and I really hope to kind of like get all of the items that don't have homes, find homes for them somewhere in the garden or in someone else's garden. If anybody wants some figs or elderberries, like I have so many, come and get them. Yeah, so doing that, and then just general cleanup. Like I said, so we have some bricks that are kind of like splayed everywhere. I got really not frustrated, but I was just working really hard and I didn't feel like stacking them properly. So I just kind of threw them and they're in a pile now. And then the wooden boards, the cedar boards, taking down some things that are already falling apart. And yeah, just a general kind of like spruce of the space. I think that is what I am going for. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But until then, thank you so much for joining me on this like weird, random, fun, stressful adventure that I'm having in my garden, that I've been having since we moved here. I'd love to know if you guys are even enjoying this. Like, if you are, please feel free to leave a comment what your favorite part of this whole process has been, and if you want to see more, because I'm gonna continue sharing even if I get crickets. That's fine, because like I said, I really enjoy seeing other people's gardens. So I can't be the only one, right? Other people might enjoy seeing my garden. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like and subscribe. I'm going to sign off now, but of course, I'm not going to leave you hanging. I am going to show you the last remaining what am I trying to say? But I'm not going to leave you hanging like promised. I am going to show you around the garden, but it's just going to be, you know, chill music from here on out. And I hope to see you next month. Bye.